going to come from the black community. We're already getting support from athletes and entertainers as we speak. By next week, we're looking forward to getting $1 million for the capture of George Zimmerman. We're going to force our government to do their job properly, and if they don't, we will. It is a very troubling time in the United States of America. We're in the era of so-called post-racial harmony with all people, but black people are being murdered all over America, and we get the same treatment time and time again. So we're saying to President Obama, you got to do your job on this one, buddy. We don't need a beer. We don't need to laugh and have a good time. Our children are dying. And so white America, we have given you 400 years to get it right, and you still have failed black people. We're not even citizens in this country. We're still third-class citizens. And so today, as black men, we must stand up in America. We must declare to white America, time is up for you. No longer can you kill black children and get away with it. We no longer going to take the words of no good Bill Lee. We don't care who is the sheriff. The city of Sanford's police department has a track record of abusing their power, killing innocent black men and women, police brutality, and nothing has ever been done about it in this city. So we want concrete results.
Mikhail Muhammad of the new Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party's been done. You gotta call yourselves the BKKK, the Black Coward Clan. You are a coward. Listen to it again.
The money is going to come from the black community. We're already getting support from athletes and entertainers.
Athletes and entertainers, the black community. There is no black community. Athletes and entertainers. That's what you got? You're setting back black people. It gets better.
As we speak, by next week, we're looking forward to getting $1 million for the capture of George Zimmerman. We're going to force our government to do their job properly.
You're going to force the government. Well, obviously, you don't believe as much as I do that the government is tyrannical as hell. They're killing millions around the world. They're facilitating the murder of millions around the world. Government sanctions on Iraq over the last decade or so killed 1.5 million children. 1.5 million Iraqis, mostly children. And you're going to force the government to do something? You obviously have very little faith in your idea that you don't seem to believe, but I believe that this government is corrupt as hell. You don't force the government to anything. So you're going to force the government to do its job, or?
And if they don't, we will.
So what's their job? Their job is just to mindlessly kill, because you're buying into the mainstream media's portrayal, where they over-whiten the guy's face. The guy is as white as Obama, which I know somebody like you behind closed doors would probably acknowledge that you hate the fact that Obama is half white. He's a half white guy. This guy's a half white guy. This guy's Peruvian. But buy into that line. Buy into the line that it's white against black and that this is your cause, and go for it. You know why you're a coward? Black Coward Party, all of you from the Black Panthers, anyone who thinks like this, you know why you're a coward and why you're weak? Not because you wouldn't fuck me up if you found me. No, you might. At least you try to, especially if you were in a group or if you had a weapon. Here's why you're a coward and you're weak. It's because you can't accept the fact that it's not the black community or the white community that black people have to fear. Black people are killing each other. Black teen is more likely to die from another black teen. You're a fucking coward for not acknowledging that. The real source. And when people like you acknowledge that, you say, we need to stop killing each other. They put guns in our neighborhood, so we'll kill each other. Right, it's not the fault of the person killing it. So if he didn't have a gun, maybe he wouldn't have killed. That's some coward shit. Some worms have hooks. Malcolm X. You know Malcolm X. You can barely string a fucking sentence together. For all your mindless, white, bad, black, good, coward shit. You're not going to get anything done with this mentality. You're going to be a puppet for the mainstream media. convincing stupefied people to be angry in the direction that the media wants them to be, distracting from our wars of aggression. Talk about garbage. You say there hasn't been any progress in 400 years. Oh yeah, there has. Remember when the brave black men, they fought even in the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. They're fighting now in Iraq. Right. Mindless murderers. You want to talk about there's a black community and a white community, there's these good black people, bad white people. What about the mindless murderers that are complicit in Barack Obama's wars now?
It is a very troubling time in the United States of America.
String your sentences together.
We're in the era
Bullshitting so
of
much.
so-called
See, you don't own the keep it 100. That's just a good idea. And you bullshit. That's why you have a hard time stringing your words together. Because you are full of shit. You're not actually speaking from truth. Not even from honesty. You're not even being honest, let alone you could be honest and not be telling the truth. Because you're mistaken. You're saying the best with the knowledge you have, but you know damn well the problem isn't some half Peruvian guy who's overzealous, and you know damn well he'd have done that to anybody around the neighborhood because he's overzealous and he's foolish. But you're gonna buy into a overly whitened as hell face of a guy that's clearly not the white kind of person that you normally hate, and you're going to just try to get some face time for some petty ass poorly put issue. This is why there hasn't been any progress in 400 years, because coward ass field slaves, coward ass house slaves, the white being the house slaves, black being the field slaves, more or less, sometimes they shuffle the social deck, they being the ruling elites. This kind of garbage ass coward shit, this is why there hasn't been progress in 400 years. Because people are fighting against each other, divided and conquered, fighting over scraps from a table of plenty. Coward ass people like you help to maintain the divide and conquering.
racial harmony with all people, but black people are being murdered all over America, and we get the same treatment time and time again.
And your coward ass knows, mostly from each other. They can highlight cops as much as they want, and fuck the police. They can highlight cops killing black people. They can highlight non-blacks killing black people, but you know damn well it's mostly black people killing black people.
So we're saying to President Obama, you got to do your job on this one, buddy. We don't need a beer. We don't need to laugh and have a good time. Our children are dying. And so white America...
Your children are killing, and there is no white America. See, the only reason the white people you know that are so afraid to stand up for themselves and so afraid to say, for example, if they're bullshit racists, the reason they're afraid to is because dogs like you are let to run off your leash, and so these white people are all afraid, and so they're just obedient to the government that pits you against them. Same as the prison system. I saw a lot of Trayvon Martin things where there's like a guy in prison that holds up a sign saying, this cell reserved for George Zimmerman. Like, oh yeah, they're going to fuck him up and I hope they rape him, blah, blah, blah. Right. Croc pit. That's where the crocodiles are. All those black guys that have been disillusioned by culture. And we'll send you white people in there if you're not obedient. That's why we got obedient ass white people. I'm not one of those obedient ass white people. And let me tell you, I've been treated very poorly by the police, to say the least. So there's no white America. There's obedient America and disobedient America. If you're part of disobedient America, you're going to get it, regardless. If you're part of obedient America, like your coward ass from the BKKK, the Black Coward Clan, this isn't the new Black Panther Party, or the Black Coward Clan, BKK, as opposed to the White Coward Clan, the KKK. White has a silent K in front of it for the KKK. Yeah, Black Coward Clan, you are not cutting edge or anything like that. You're not counterculture. You are creating that crock pit that makes the rest of obedient America, black and white, fear to step out of line whatsoever, because they'll get pulled under with the cesspool like this. You play your role.
We have given you 400 years to get it right, and you still...
No, you see, you're playing that whole thing like you have camaraderie with every person who has ever your skin color. There's a couple of problems with that. One, like I said, coward-ass people like you, just facilitating the dividing and the conquering. Also, you don't know your history if you're African American. You know that you were descended from slaves, and you'll be told all the best case scenarios of where you come from. But you know what? white people, the descendants, they might have fought against slavery, and your ancestors might have been your ancestors, Mikhail Muhammad, you fucking coward. Your ancestors might have been some of the black people who facilitated the slave trade and went out into the bush because the white people couldn't colonize Africa, and they couldn't even handle it because of malaria and whatnot. They couldn't adapt, so they had to require certain Africans would facilitate the slave trade. Otherwise, it couldn't have gone on. You can start the clock wherever you want, like a fucking coward, but you don't know for certain that that's not your legacy. So don't pretend like you have camaraderie with anybody who's not white, which is taken it to extreme, which is cowards like you do. Anybody who's not white, we have some solidarity with our Latinos. More on that later in the jail system. You want to talk about like, oh, you go to jail and the blacks will fuck you up there. No, you go to jail. You, black man, go to jail, and Latinos will fuck you up. See, the crock pit has changed for those of you who don't know the prison system, and it's a very corrupt system where the guards just let everybody have race riots and whatnot. The Latinos have taken that over because they're even treated not worse, like they don't have those horror stories like we hear all the horror stories from the slave days, but they are corralled in greater numbers, have a greater camaraderie, and they have a separate language so they can really coordinate in a way you African Americans can't against white Americans or anyone they don't like. So you don't get the whole we're oppressed, we're taking over. Mexicans aren't hearing that. They're not letting you. I mean, like I say, the whole Tupac thing about black love, brown pride in the sets again. Like, well, we're united. Us non-whites are united. Go ahead and try that in jail. Shit's not gonna work.
Have failed black people. We're not even citizens in this country. We're still
You're not citizens. You are.
third-class citizens.
See, if you weren't bullshitting, I mean, that's why they say keep it 100. You didn't make that up. Black people didn't decide keep it real, keep it 100. The best of black people, the best of people, have that mentality like keep it 100, keep it real, just speak real, and you won't have to bullshit and stumble over your words and say things like, we're not even citizens, we're third class citizens. You're not citizens, you're third class citizens. See, that's the kind of garbage ass stuff. When you are thinking something and your mind and your mouth aren't connecting because you're fucking lying or you have an agenda or you want to twist things to where it's like, well, I know he wasn't really white. He's no more white than Obama's white. He's half white and he doesn't look anything white. And we know he doctored the picture. And we know they're showing pictures of Trayvon as a 12-year-old on here. Nevertheless, this is our chance to wear our military outfits and go and talk shit and show that we still got a crock pit out here and we're gonna find some white guy. Okay, you can shoot the messenger. The message is bulletproof, though, you fucking coward. BKK. Black Coward Clan. Coward power. Coward power. Yeah.
And so today, as black men, we must stand up in America. We must.
I agree. But standing up doesn't mean taking whatever the media tells you, being a coward, and swallowing it whole and pretending like it's white versus black. Also pretending like if it was white versus black, you could win that fight. Because not every white person is just some coward, wormy person who is afraid of the crock pit. Most of the mindless murderers in our military, they're white guys. So most of the, I mean, there are far too many militant, crazy ass white people that just would not. You could wear the little clothes and you can play the soldier, but you couldn't win that fight. Stupid as hell. I mean, that's why God or whatever invented the saying, "Live by the sword, die by the sword." You cannot cash any of these checks that you're talking about.
Declare to white America, time is up for you. No longer can you kill black children.
Declare it to black America because, again, black victims at the hand of black perpetrators happens much more often. If anything, white victims happen much more often at the hands of black people. So should white America declare no longer? That's what the coward KKK, the white coward clan does. So you black coward clan, you can do the same thing. Say, time is up. No longer can you kill black children. Meanwhile, black people killing black children, but that doesn't have that same. You can't coordinate with the mainstream media and turn it into a fucking joke where everybody is still divided and conquered and pretending that shit makes sense. Seeing black people killing each other off, and you can't step to that because you have to pretend like there's this huge other enemy when all the white people that you ever deal with are coward ass, weak ass, I mean, like most white people in this culture, coward, weak ass people that don't stand up for themselves or anything. But you know, somewhere in there, there's this idea they want to do such and such. Meanwhile, you're seeing black guys kill each other. And rather than try to address that, you address this easy ass argument because you're a fucking coward. Mikhail Muhammad. That's it. You know, there's more.
And get away with it. We no longer gonna take the words of no good Bill Lee. We don't care who is the sheriff. The city of San Francisco.
Don't take the no good words of Sheriff whoever, but don't take the no good words of the media either. You don't know the situation. You don't know the situation down there in Florida. You don't know. I don't know the situation of Shannon Christian and Christopher Newsom, the supposedly the 5 black people mutilated and all that shit. That didn't get much play because it didn't play into the stereotype of these angry militants are angry for a reason because there's racism. Look up Shannon with the C, Christian, and Christopher Newsom. No longer will I accept you to talk like this and pretend like you're not losing your train of thought and then nah, that's garbage. You're a fucking coward. Keep it 100.
Police department has a track record of abusing their power, killing innocent black men and women, police brutality, and nothing has ever been done about it in this city. So we want concrete results.
Or else you'll just do all kinds of crazy shit. Justify martial law. Maybe that's how this, I mean, because obviously shit goes on in our country all the time, but it gets blown up when people decide to blow it up. When people decide to make a big deal out of it, that's when it gets made a big deal out of. So maybe this is just the excuse to write some kind of law that declares it's sort of a martial law where people can just get rounded up because of mouths like yours. You're playing right into the divide and conquer shit. So again, simply put, it's not the new Black Panthers, it's the Black Coward Clan, Coward Power, just like the KKK is the White Coward Clan. They all both have the Coward Power. And again, not coward because you wouldn't mindlessly try to come and kill me or mindlessly be in a group and try to beat any white person that you can get your hands on. Fellow slaves fighting for the scraps off the table of plenty. You're not a coward for that. No, you'll use a gun or whatever. You're a coward because you won't step up to the truth, which is that you would have a better, your time would be better spent convincing black people not to kill each other. Remember that whole, we need to stop black on black violence and redirect it. How about you just stop being violent? Not you, but I mean, you know, anybody who's doing that. You can pretend like it's white people that you need to fear, but really you need to fear any crazy ass person who says we're going to take the law into our own hands for any reason. And now you got a whole bunch of them all over the place saying they're going to take the law into their own hands if they would, and people posting these things about, like I said, the guy in jail saying this cell is for what's his face, George Zimmerman. Yeah, I'm gonna abuse ass, I'm gonna rape him. Well, that's the same mentality. The worst case scenario, that's the mentality George Zimmerman has. He hasn't exhibited that he had that mentality. That's been put on him. Worst case scenario, he has that mentality. And it goes right to that. It goes right to, I hope he gets raped in jail. Well, a culture like this deserves what it gets. And then we got pictures of Trayvon with angel wings, looking like a 5-year-old in that picture. You got whitened face of this guy who is not white by any stretch of the imagination, not the white, the kind that you're taught to hate. You got pictures of Trayvon as a kid. You got guilty white people, the kind of idiots who think that once in a while being a smart ass against white people is a form of reparations, pandering to the stupidest of the black victimologists. You pander to them and then somehow that's helping. That's not helping. Placating people isn't helping. I'm looking at this fat white guy saying, I'm white, so it's okay, because he's got the hoodie and he's got the Skittles and the Snapple. It might not have been okay. For all we know, he'd have gotten jumped by this guy too. And said, what are you doing and whatnot. Just countless. I mean, the worst ones is you got the military, the United States military, different personnel wearing their hoodies and whatnot. Oh, United for Trayvon. Man, you guys are out killing and causing the death of millions of Trayvon Martins. United States military. Somewhere along the line, you guys really believe that you were heroes. You guys are mindless murderers, or you're complicit in mindless murder. That's what you do. Be proud of it. Or you could shoot the messenger, but the message is bulletproof. You fucking cowards too. Military. In fact, I'm looking at the picture now of a whole bunch of military. I think it's Navy, because, well, I got a whole bunch of Navy, maybe some Marines. wearing their hoods, and it's U.S. troops support justice for Trayvon Martin. You know, one of the reasons I stopped dealing with the military, because I was in it for a bit, one of the reasons is because I don't like the fact that there was gangs in the military. Of course, the military is just one big ass gang full of cowards that missile people from a distance, coward asses. But real gangs, like there's gangs on the ships in the U.S. Navy, because really, just any slobby ass person can get into the military. You can tease John Kerry for saying that, and be aghast that he said something along those lines. If you don't know the reference, just forget it. But a whole lot of sloppy ass people get into military, and there are gangs in the military. Garbage. And you got looking through pictures of like little cartoon 5-year old looking Trayvon and cartoon. Like, this shit was bad. Somebody getting killed is not good. But this whole turning him into an infant, that like you may as well be saying like, oh, he had a lollipop and he had a paint by numbers, but they're making him out to be like a baby, misrepresenting the situation, not defending the other person, not saying that there's anything wrong with Trayvon or the way he was, but they're infantilizing him, objectifying him as something he wasn't, just to make it look even worse. It's bad enough. Stop fucking with the portrayal of Trayvon and with George Zimmerman. If he's not white enough, he's not white enough. Don't whiten his picture. Fucking cowards. Yeah, something else. Yeah, there's weapons of mass destruction. You know, they media told you they were there. Everyone was gung ho on going in, and now they're saying Trayvon is necessarily a victim, and you don't even know, but you're sure because the media told you. We got pictures of kids holding up signs, "Am I next?" wearing hoodies, because playing up the idea it was like a 5-year-old that got shot. Yeah, I think that's the last I'm going to say about that, because Trayvon was 17. You know what? And garbage ass white girls saying like, "I'm not black, so I'm safe." It's not. It's not a form of reparations. Fat, gross white chick. Not a form of reparations. You want to help the black community? Stop pandering to the worst mindless elements. There are plenty causes worth taking up. The Trayvon cause is one worth taking up, but not in this coward ass way where you want to misrepresent every single part. Let in mindless ass black coward Klan people to say any kind of violent shit that they want. Oh, it's okay because a black person died at the hands of a sort of white person. That doesn't help anything. But what I will say is Trayvon Martin was 17. Now, you sheltered ass Americans, including you black coward Klan, you probably don't read much world news, and if you do, you like Al Jazeera's enough. But you know what goes on in Brazil? Some terrible shit goes on in Brazil. In case you just joined us, like 500,000 slaves were brought over to the United States, and then from there, the number just expanded once they were here. 4 million were taken to Central and South America, especially Brazil. And Brazil is a fucking mess now. There's crazy racism there. The recent stories, you can just see the crime is crazy. The reason I mention this is because there was a 17-year-old just a couple of weeks ago who is a drug dealer, and he captured and just absolutely mutilated this 12-year-old that owed him some money because he was supposed to sell drugs for money. So many stories like that out of a lot of places, Russia, but Brazil is a good example. The point being, there's some terrible shit going on in the world. The Shannon Christensen is a terrible example. The Robert Byrd example in Texas is terrible shit. Bad enough shit goes on. You don't have to make shit up or whiten people's faces or ignore the fact that they're not the white culture. But you can keep on going, and there will be no justice and no peace, because you will be helping to divide and conquer people, keep them stupefied, keep them buying into the mainstream media's portrayals, and distracting, like Chris Rock said, it's a distraction to get your mind off the war. It showed LeBron James having a rest in peace on his shoes as he goes out and gets paid to bounce a ball. Good job. You're a real success. Fucking cowards. See, that kind of shit distract you from the war. Being told that, for example, like, oh, black people are moving ahead because, finally they're allowed to fight proudly for their country alongside other white people and invade other countries and cause millions of deaths of people. These are the real problems. And Trayvon Martin and a lot of other things. But you buy into this herd mentality, you herd of individuals and black coward Klan type people who just want to get behind and just get mad. You know You know how easily you are controlled when you're that mad? You know how mindless you're being right now and how you could play right into the mind of so many things. You could play into the government justifying martial law. You could play into making idiots like the actual KKK seem a little more justified in their stupid ass perspectives. Coming on the line, you new Black Panther, Black Coward Clan, Coward Power shit coming on saying that you're going to cause justice. You're gonna put out a bounty mafia style. Okay, we'll see who puts a bounty out on you, and then we can just keep going from there. You obviously, like I said, you obviously don't believe in the real plight that's going on. See, when Obama, see, I got plenty of black friends, and none of them are the kinds that buy into the idea that Obama is any change whatsoever. Those type of black people, real black people, the ones who keep it real. And people like us, people who don't think Obama may change at all, one of the things we said is, he doesn't mean shit because if he did, he'd fix these fucking drug laws. He would fix this corrupt ass prison system that fucks black people. But no, instead, you want to pretend like Obama's your buddy and you call him your fucking buddy, you fucking coward, Mikhail Muhammad. Meanwhile, there really is a problem, and it's not one that you can be tough at. You are not nearly the person you would need to be to overcome a massive corruption of this country. So you need to stop being a racist fucking coward, stop facilitating the dividing and the conquering, and the fighting for scraps off of a table of plenty, and actually do something that shows real courage and strength. Like, for example, allow this Trayvon Martin situation to have a legitimate context instead of this whole, see, that's what you get. Look at this guy whose face is meticulously whitened, and this kid is, they see young pictures of him to make it like it's old, angry white men killing young, innocent black men. That does happen. I don't know. Maybe you have to take this, blow it out of proportion for the fact that, and so this is a message to you people that, like you garbage ass white people who pretend like putting on a hoodie and saying these little self-loathing bullshit things about I'm white, it's okay. That doesn't really help. What you could do is actually get some fucking black friends, and not your one black friend that makes you feel like you're inclusive. And when you have a black friend, you'll know that this kind of shit, there's no need. See, the biggest problem I have with the whole whitening the face and babyifying Trayvon, there's no need to just latch onto this, because that shit happens all the time. Like I said, most of the time it happens black on black, but still, this kind of shit happens all the time. Police do this to whomever, not just black people. I mentioned that for Kelly Thomas, the guy that was beaten up in the homeless guy. They'll beat anyone. And it's not just white people that will beat anyone. Black cops will beat anyone. Black soldiers are over there right now killing Iraqis, Afghanis, and Iranians. So are white soldiers. So this is the divide and the conquer. This is why things don't get fixed. Because for every black person who's motivated enough to do something, too many of them are just angry saying crazy shit. For every white person who feels stupid and guilty enough to actually think about it whatsoever, they think they put on a hoodie, say some smart ass stuff, and somehow they're cool by black people's standards. You're all fucking cowards, and you're all facilitating the division and the conquering.